Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Compass Box Experimental Grain. Dustin, hot off the press, man. This just came out this week.
Yeah, I haven't seen this, honestly, anywhere, man. I'm just shocked to see it.
Yeah, what can you tell us about the Experimental Grain whiskey, Dustin? I can tell the folks comes in at 46% ABV, kind of typical for a Compass Box.
You know, this is going to be
here?
your classic mixture of distilleries like Cameronbridge, North British. We'll have all the details down below with the ages and everything on this one. The big kind of interesting one, and I'll be honest, the reason why I haven't actually gotten a lot of details yet is I actually emailed Compass Box on Friday after they were probably long gone from the office.
Sure.
And my question to them was about the Loch Lomond, as to which still they used for that Loch Lomond, if they knew. So if you guys don't know much about Loch Lomond, my understanding is they are, Scotch distillery. They really think the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society can go to hell, just like John Glazier does. And so in order to be a single malt Scotch, you have to use a pot still.
Okay.
They use column stills. They use they've got like 4 or 5 different types of stills they use. Mm-hmm. So some of their whiskey, even though by all technical normal means it's a malt, has to be labeled a grain. So I don't know exactly what this Loch Lomond is. So hopefully I can find that out so I can give you guys that information as well.
All right, let's get to it, Dustin. Experimental Grain Compass Box. Another wild goose chased by Compass Box or a masterpiece? Let's get to it.
I tell you what, that nose is unlike any whiskey I can think of, and I like it. To me, I'm getting like York peppermint patty with some kind of like sort of sour sweet candy.
Yeah, there's a bunch of sour to this. Grain whiskeys are funny sometimes. You say something like sour, and you think normally that's a bad thing, and in single malt Scotch, mm-hmm. I think a lot of times it is.
It is.
I know some people like it, but in something like this, it's just delicate, kind of goes. That sour almost turns into like a lemon meringue pie. Almost.
Yeah, well, and I mean the end of this thing it's just chocolate, man. It's like a fudge or white chocolate.
Yeah, when you said York peppermint patty, I was definitely getting the chocolate.
There's a mint in here for sure.
And almost like, well, it's definitely in the chocolate, and you're right, there is a mint, but it's almost like, I don't know if it's mint leaf or, like it's a very sweet mint.
It's mixed in with all that sweet grain note, and that, like, again, it's not like it's like dark chocolate or milk chocolate, it's like white chocolate fudge, if that makes any sense. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but it's like a white chocolate fudge.
White chocolate I'm not getting right away, but give me a minute.
Oh, man, I'm getting it on the finish especially.
There is a decadent chocolate note to it, though. You're absolutely right.
I think the very end starts getting into dark chocolate. Up front, I'm getting like some white chocolate.
I mean, I'm getting vanilla for sure.
You know what I'm actually almost getting is like a white chocolate or like a yogurt-covered raisins.
Okay, I can see more of that.
Yeah. It's like sometimes they use white chocolate. Sometimes they use like a yogurt that's like tastes like a white chocolate, and it's got like the raisin. It's got that. It smells like those taste, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like a vanilla yogurt parfait almost.
Yeah.
A little bit of, a couple of grains on top of there.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you're a whiskey drinker and you like dessert, I don't know how you knows this and you weren't thinking, ooh, that's decadent. That's dessert.
It's definitely dessert. You're right.
And I love how that mint kind of keeps it from being too dessert. There's that slight menthol mint that's coming through, and it keeps this whiskey from being straight dessert. It gives it almost like a rye spice if you've had like a bourbon or something.
Yeah, the mint is very sharp on this. Very sharp.
Yeah,
it's such a distinguishing note to it.
Yeah. I think it actually holds the whole whiskey together.
It's not the sweetness, that's for sure. Like there's the sweetness in it, and then the mint is just almost bordering on like menthol cigarette almost. Mm-hmm. And there's a bit of a slight oaky note to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost coming off a bit smoky.
So tasting it now, I was actually thinking there at the end, it's a little smoky kind of. I think that is, again, it does use some older grain whiskeys in here.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I mean, it's all the notes we just mentioned before, really. I mean, it's sweet. It's got that kind of menthol. It's definitely got some cinnamon in it. Like, I don't know if like a white cinnamon, if that makes any sense. Definitely has those notes coming in all through it. Spiciness is definitely there. The mint's there. The white chocolate, the slightly fudgy notes. Maybe a little citrus. Definitely has some slight sour notes. But this tastes nothing like a grain whiskey I've ever had.
No, the fudgy notes definitely come more on the palate. Like, it tastes heftier than 46% ABV. There's really good viscosity on this. Yeah, I mean, everything that you said there, it almost kind of reminds me of Japanese whiskeys where there's so many little pieces. You know what I mean? This is a whiskey that I wouldn't say any one thing is even 30 or 40% of the experience. You know, a bunch of 10s and 15%. A little bit here, a little bit there. But yeah, sweet, lemon. I'm getting a little bit more, again, going back to lemon meringue pie that I said initially on the nose. I'm still getting that. But on the finish, you're right, it is quite a bit smokier.
Yeah, North British, Cambridge, and then I forgot this, but they actually used their Hedonism blend. They used an older version of that, and they blended it into this. And I forget what all is exactly in the Hedonism.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one you could legit sit here and pick out 15, 20 things.
Yeah, I mean, there's depth. It's a little drying on the mouth, which I hadn't noticed before, but
A little bit of a dry wine or something.
yeah, it's just a little drying.
It's almost like a white wine.
It's not it's not a really unpleasant note. It's just I wasn't expecting that.
Handled water well. Give it
Yeah,
46.
honestly, didn't change too much, and it still smells very rich and vibrant.
No, I didn't quite get to the white chocolate, but again, there's a good vanilla, and that vanilla is gained with a little bit of water. But that vanilla comes off fudgy to me too. It's almost
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
vanilla
That might
fudge.
be why I'm thinking it's like this is a textured nose, if that makes sense. It's
Yes,
oily, it's
yes.
waxy. Like when I say fudge, like I am smelling, and then I'm having like my
density of
mouth
it.
feels like
Yeah.
I should be chewing on fudge right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Very dessert whiskey.
Yeah,
This thing
a lot of
pairs
vanilla
so
notes
well.
for sure. God, and it's clean and yet layered, textured, and with a little bit of spice in it.
Nothing off-putting. Yeah, overall, it's really good.
Oh man! All right, what would you pay for this, Mike? In your head, what are you thinking?
Couple $100.
$150.
Yeah, I would say I would want to pay $150 for it. But
Yeah, I was honestly when I drink this, I think $200 whiskey in today's market
I agree.
instantly.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking it's 2020. You know, when you asked me what this would cost.
Yeah, yeah. Now 5 years ago, whole different price.
Whole different story.
All right, let's go in with the water.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting a couple drops of water in this thing changed nothing. If anything, it kind of enhanced the sweetness. Nothing but a good thing. This thing can take water. You can taste it neat.
I got just a hint now of a slight kind of nuttiness. I like nutty oak. Yeah, it's like it's a walnut. No, it's almost like a walnut oak. Yeah. Not, overpowering, nothing crazy, but yeah, a little bit of walnut and a little oak.
Yeah, I almost think with water, that's a more interesting palate too. There's really a lot going on. I mean, yeah, there is some type of wood chip, barrel, nutshell kind of note to it. A little bit of char.
It's unsalted walnuts. Not my favorite nut to have by any stretch.
That's kind of a plain nut too.
No, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but man, I mean, super interesting whiskey. I mean, I don't get enough grain whiskeys. I mean, but I've probably at this point in my life tried 25, 30 of them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only grain whiskeys I buy these days are Compass Box blends. Because, I mean, what was that? We had the Hedonism, the one they did for Women's Day a couple years ago.
Yeah, what's that one called? Anyway, I mean, the pink.
And we both gave it a really, nice score. And then remember, we went back to that whiskey after we finished reviewing, and we're just blown away by how much it opened up. This one I might do the same thing. I'm actually going to set this one aside and definitely come back to it because I want to see if it does that.
For sure. Where are you at as far as the whiskey score on this one?
I feel like I might be going a little high here, Mike, but I'm going to give it an 88.
Yeah.
I think it's got everything. It's really well done. Doesn't have a wow factor, and I think that's where 88 is a good score for this.
Yeah, I was 86, 87. I'm going to go 87 because it is a good whiskey. It has nothing that's off-putting whatsoever. Very enjoyable. It not only on the nose, but especially on the palate, it drinks a little heftier than that 46%. And, I mean, again, when you have a dessert with nothing off about that dessert, and it feels heavier than what it is, with a little bit of whisk smoke, man, I tell you what. It's something that I would want to go back to on a regular basis, especially when it gets warmer outside.
Yeah, and I got to say, this is probably going to be a good summer pour, you're right. Unfortunately, today we went from summer to snow here, so.
It happens.
Yeah. But I will say this, I probably was going to be 87, but I think the price justified me just pushing it up that extra point because I was pretty close between the two.
Yeah, I'd buy one of these for $150.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's just a reasonable price for really, really solid whiskey. And
solid whiskey, reasonable price, to get the job done at a good price point.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, if you guys had a chance to try this one, I know it just came out, so you have to hunt for it. I wouldn't imagine a lot of you have had your chance, but if you have, let us know what you guys think. And Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy experimental drinking.
We'll see you next time. Thanks.